Welcome to the Oasis.state podcast. Cheers for tuning in. This podcast is dedicated to educating and empowering women to step into their self-love infused power. As a woman, there are so many nuances that influence our relationship with self. Join me as I share my personal experiences with and deep understanding of mindset development, energetics, and self-mastery. I will help you deconstruct societal conditioning and your own outdated beliefs through a lighthearted, playful lens of perception. I will introduce you to tools that will help you redefine your interaction with life, powerfully manifest your wildest dreams, and enjoy every step along the way. Let this podcast guide and support you as you make the commitment to remember your magic within. This is your self-empowerment pep talk.
Hello, gorgeous listener. Welcome back to another episode of the Oasis.state podcast. I am your host, Zoe. So it's been a hot minute since I have recorded a podcast episode, and I have just been dying to get back on the mic. But, you know, life happens and you just need to surrender to the flow of it sometimes. And yeah, I have been wanting to do a big revamp of the podcast and my business and everything for a while. And that hasn't happened yet, but I just, I had to sit down and record. So all of that, you know, bells and whistles will come later. And I went through this whole process of like, oh my God, I'll have to delete all my past episodes and start fresh. And then I was like, no, sorry, that's not really authentic. And I think it was just coming from a place of vulnerability, because obviously jumping on a mic and pressing record and expressing your truth is, you know, leaves you open to criticism, and that's totally okay. Sorry, I'm saying a lot, but I will be conscious of that. So yeah, I decided to leave all of my other podcast episodes there, because I have obviously evolved as a person since I recorded those episodes, but it doesn't mean that wisdom and that life experience that I was sharing won't resonate for someone now if they listen to it tomorrow or in 5 years' time. So this is kind of the third wave of Oasis.state, and like I never had a plan. No one's put any pressure on me. So it's just about surrendering, being like, cool, I'm jumping on the mic. And the other day, I'm really, really, really craving a holiday right now. I think it's just the end of the year. I'm moving through burnout right now, and I just haven't had much of a chance to stand still. And I literally thought to myself, I was like, my dream holiday right now is actually going off to a cabin in the woods somewhere by myself, bringing my podcast mic and just recording and letting it all out and just expressing my truth. So that's just a reflection of how much I genuinely love jumping on here. So yeah, I suppose there might be some self-indulgent or selfish reasons why I'm jumping on here, because I just find expressing my truth as such a therapeutic process for me. But I suppose, you know, we're all in this together. So by me sharing my truth and my experiences and how I'm interpreting them, I will hopefully be providing some kind of medicine for someone else as well. So selfish, but not. So yeah, it hasn't really been the greatest turn of events that has led me to finally press record, but I basically just got so uncomfortable with my current experience that I was just like, fuck it, I have to rip off the Band-Aid and press record, because I will implode if I don't get to speak my truth. And I have a beautiful community around me, and I love having conscious conversations, but I just need to get this stuff out, and I really want to prioritize jumping on the mic a bit more. And I was telling myself like, oh, there's, you know, not enough hours in the day. There's not enough time. And then the other day I was like, called bullshit on myself. And I was like, Zoz, there's more than enough hours in the day. It's just a particular level of priorities. Like, you're not prioritizing the things that light you up, which is recording podcasts and hopefully contributing to someone else's spiritual journey and spiritual awakening. So yeah, it sucks when you're like, oh my God, what's holding me back? And then it's you. So yeah, I have been struggling, really, really struggling with my inner world at the moment. And it's just such a shame. It's not a shame, actually. Sorry, I don't want to like beat myself up, but I just realized that like I preach all of these things to my friends, to my community about like, be kind to yourself and level up and all of these things. But I was going in the opposite direction, and that's totally okay, because that is the spiritual journey. You're definitely not just like on this upwards trajectory all the time. So there's definitely not a space for self-criticism. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. Anyway, I'll keep going. I have just found my inner world to be very hostile, very barren, very confusing, and just very, very painful, basically. And the idea and the ethos around Oasis State is that it comes from the actual understanding of what a physical natural oasis is, and it's a section or like a part of nature, a habitat that is thriving with a balanced ecosystem and full of abundance and flow and prosperity. Usually, and oases are found in scarce environments with, obviously in the desert with, not many resources, and it's quite harsh, and it's quite like, it can be a very toxic place. So yeah, it's really interesting to observe in myself that, oh shit, like I have slowly drifted out into the desert and I have moved away from my oasis. My inner oasis. And that's why I call this podcast and my offerings Oasis State, because I am so driven by helping people find their oasis state of being. And that is that prosperous, balanced ecosystem within themselves, like that inner oasis. And yeah, I suppose I realized that I was not acting from a place of integrity, and I was not practicing what I preached. And I'm not saying this again from a place of self-criticism. It's just like oh, okay, I've walked off the path into the desert. Now I don't have a hat or sunscreen or water or anything. And I have just been struggling. And the cool part is when you find a little pocket of space or a little pocket of lightness in the consuming confusion, it's so disorientating when you're in these barren lands in your mind, body, and soul. When you can finally create space to observe, unconditionally observe that inner state, your inner environment, and take inventory of it, that is the hardest step, guys. That is the step that will help you redirect back onto the path. And one of my old mentors once told me that, like, we're always walking our true path, and we've got to always try and walk our true path. But if you find that you've walked off it, and I will stray off my path to finding my inner oasis like a bazillion more times in my life, and that's okay. But when you stray off the path and finally realize that, it's so important to see it like yourself, like a little child, or maybe even your inner child, and the part of you that your soul, your higher self, that is observing, oh shit, I've walked off the path. It's just like an adult grabbing a lost child in the desert and just like gently directing them back onto their true path. And that's the process that I've gone through today. I have been experiencing burnout from a lot of new experiences in my life, putting more work on my plate, all of that jazz, just outward. And I've sort of been ignoring my need for solitude, for rest, for things that fill up my cup. And that's how I've led myself off my path. And I finally admitted to myself this week, I was like, I am mentally struggling. I am in a really, really bad place. And I'm in a place where I am not nourishing myself. I am not loving myself. I'm not protecting myself. I am just beating myself up, like in that inner state. And it's so hard to realize that and get to that point, because even if you have like a beautiful, beautiful community around you, you will put these guards up around you and you will not believe a word that they are saying. Oh, sorry, I'm getting emotional. I'm still like so raw, but like as soon as I like realized this, I was like, you got to jump on and record it. And hopefully, this truth that I'm speaking, this experience that I've gone through in the last few months, can help someone else find their way back to their path, because fuck, it's so shit, but it is part of the spiritual journey. And yeah, like I said, I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not okay. And I took a day off work and I went down to a gorgeous little protected coastal dune near my house and just leaned into the discomfort. And like I said, even if you have the most beautiful community around you, supportive friends and words, they aren't going to land. They aren't going to mean shit unless you let them in. And that's a worthiness piece. That's a mindset piece there. There's just so many layers to accepting that. And you will continue to self-sabotage. You will continue to self-loathe if you don't do that inner work to meet yourself, even in those really barren and toxic environments. You are the only one that can walk into those spaces and grab your hand of your inner child, or that part of yourself that has gotten lost, grab that hand gently and be like, it's all good, babe. you're coming back. And I might sound like an absolute crazy person being like, so you've got this part of yourself, and then you go and grab that part of yourself, and then all of the parts of yourself come back together in this oasis. But that's genuinely what it's like. So I finally took that time today. I sat in the discomfort. I have been, side note, precursor, I have been weeping for days and days on end. And I've had like my beautiful friends and partner around me, you know, coaxing me along. And definitely their words and their support have meant something to me. But when you're so aware of the guard that you're putting up around me, and someone would be like, oh, babe, you're so amazing. And then you're like, lie. Like, I have been on this journey and I have walked off my path enough times now that I can recognize, like, not any words of encouragement or positivity or any healer or anything in the world can help me unless I accept the help. And the part of it where you are accepting your help is when you go within. It's always yourself, guys. You're like, oh shit, it's me again. I'm saying that in a super lighthearted way. Don't beat yourself up. So I've just been weeping for the last few days. I just went down to the beach, and I genuinely have been questioning my mental stability lately, and it hasn't been stable. And that's okay, because there's always a way out, guys. There's always a way out. And it might take an entire ecosystem of things to fine tune, to pull yourself out of these mental, like, pit holes, like prisons, basically. It's like I imprisoned myself in this low vibing, shitty prison. I'm like lost for words right now, but I think you get the point. I've imprisoned myself, but not like an instant decision. It's just happened slowly but surely over like the last few months or even a few years. Like, I have been having a time. I've had so much heartbreak. I've had so much rejection. I've had so much grief. I've had so many like roadblocks and everything. And I'm not saying that to justify my experience, but well, I suppose I sort of am, but not from a place of like, oh, I'm such a victim, guys, feel sorry for me. But I have slowly outsourced my worthiness and my connection with myself to all of these outward experiences, and, you know, rejection of a friend or something, an ending or grief or roadblocks or frustration or whatever. I have slowly but surely closed the doors on my inner oasis and been like, oh, well, yeah, of course I'm not worthy because of X, Y, and Z, because all of these shitty things have happened to me. And yeah, it's definitely part of it, but I have basically ignored the invitation every single time something's happened to me. I have ignored the invitation to come back to the pure, real, true part of myself, which is that you, or me, you, everyone, all of us are genuinely perfect on the inside. Like, the part of us that is our soul that came through when we were born, like, it's not like when you're a baby, you just like plug the baby into the wall and they have life. There is an energy within us, which you could call it your soul, your essence, your higher self, whatever label you need to put on that energy. But I don't think anyone can deny that we don't have a living, breathing energy within us that is activating this meat suit, which is our body, and powering our mind. So I have ignored every single opportunity to remember that that part of me, which should be the master of my experience and the master of my, you know, the gardener of my oasis, basically, the master gardener. But the gardener of my oasis, I have slowly pushed that away and just walked out of the oasis. So basically, I've said that analogy like 50 times, but I think you're picking up on what I'm putting down. So I realized that. I was like, cool, I'm going to be accountable for that. And when you guys are listening to this, and if this is resonating with you, you have to see this through a compassionate, light-hearted space. And I've said this on, like, you know, even though it's been, you know, months and years in between recording some podcast episodes, this message is still exactly the same. When you get to this point of realizing like, oh shit, I've strayed off the path, it has to be from a loving, compassionate place. And it's the hardest step to take, guys, like to realize like, oh, like looking down and you're looking at the sand in the desert and you're like looking, you're like, oh my God, where is my oasis? Like, oh shit, I need to find my way back. That's the hardest part. Okay. That's the hardest part. And now I'm like, oh, all right. So I was at the beach having a cry, realizing all of this. And now I have this awareness. I'm still a bit raw, and that's okay. Like, and there might be more tears, there might be more, you know, whatever to come through. But the way to take the first step towards back to your oasis is through understanding your mindset and the power of your thinking and the power of your belief system. And it might boggle your brain if you're really identified with your mind and with your thoughts like I have been. And I have been in and out of seasons of being consciously the observer of my thoughts. And that's what meditation can achieve for us, and achieving flow states and doing crafts and activities. That's that space that you get into when you disassociate, unidentify with your mind. And then I've gone into seasons like the one I've just identified now, that I've been completely identified with my mind, and I have let my mind be the biggest bully to myself. And that's acknowledging that and shifting back to that awareness that your mind is not the master, your mind is the servant. And the observer of your mind, which is your soul, your essence, your higher self, they are the masters. But if you aren't stepping up to that plate and sitting in the throne of being the master of your life, then your mind will come along and take that throne. It will take that seat and it will bully the shit out of you. And for another analogy, another hopefully piece of digestible information, because all of this stuff is like super abstract, guys. Like, I don't know if you remember, if you've read The Power of Now, but like when I read that book the first time, I was like, I don't even know what up is up or down. Like, it is so mind boggling, and it is this stuff is so abstract. So I offer analogies to help this information be digestible, because it can just be so disorientating. So the analogy that I wanted to offer is that when you let your mind become the master, it will, without being regulated or controls, like, I can't find a word for control, but control's like a pretty negative word. But basically, when you aren't supervising your mind and actively feeding your mind the thoughts that you want, it is the equivalent of sitting in a movie theater and watching a horror film. That's how shit your inner experience can get if you are not adjusting and evolving your mindset every day. And the funny thing is that the version of you that's sitting in that cinema watching this horror story play out, that's the real you. That's the observer of your mind. That's your higher self. That's your soul. And at any moment, you can get up and walk out of that cinema and walk out of the movie theater and go outside to the sun and realize, oh my God, everything is easy breezy. Everything is sunny and amazing and wonderful. I have just been unconsciously sitting in this movie theater while the worst horror movie you could ever experience is playing. And the analogy is that the movie theater, the movie that's playing is your thoughts, is your dysregulated, toxic, conditioned thoughts. So I hope that lands. Like, at any moment, guys, we can get up and walk out of the cinema and walk out to the sun and be like, oh my God, everything's fine. So this is not a moment to slam our mind. I suppose it does sound like for the last, like, however long this episode's been recording, that I've been like slamming our mind. But no, again, it comes back to you, which you are not your mind. You are not your mind, guys. It comes back to you, because your mind should never be in the driver's seat of your life, because it does not have the evolutionary capacity to support you like in a nurturing, constructive way. Your mind is black and white. Your mind is like the child that you should put in the passenger seat of your car. It's still an incredibly important part of your life. Obviously, it's how we, live in this 3D world. It's how we bring our manifestations from the 5D into the 3D. Your mind is an incredible tool, but the point I'm trying to make throughout this episode is that if you are struggling with your mind, it's because you have put it in the master seat, and it is deeply underqualified for that position. Your mind should be the tool, and it should be the servant of your higher self. So this is not me slamming like, oh my God, your mind sucks. Like, totally try and like not think about things. Like, of course we have to think about things, but I'm just trying to remind you, and me, because I've come on here and been like, oh, whoa, how did I get to this point? But that's okay. Is that we need to be utilizing our mind rather than what's the word, like bowing down to it. Like, if your mind's like, oh, you're a piece of shit, and you're like, oh yeah, totally, like, so true, you're like, what? What? How did I get here? So I will kind of pull apart what our mind is. Our mind is, our lower mind comes from the limbic system, which is the part of our brain, like at the back of our brain, where its primary function and basically its time to shine was when we were cavemen, when we hadn't developed our higher mind, brain, consciousness, faculties, I suppose. Sorry, guys, I'm lost for words. But our lower mind, which is usually the one that is punishing us and torturing us, is actually not equipped to be in the driver's seat of your life or in control of your experience with life. Like I said, it's from the limbic system at the back of your mind, and its time to shine was when we were cavemen. And the reason it shined during that time was because our brain is only trying, our brain and our mind. So the brain is like the physical, brain, like the gray and matter and stuff like that. And our mind is like the energetic part of it. So like the electrical system that's like firing and rewiring neurons to go into our body and release hormones, which create emotions, et cetera, et cetera. So when I say brain, that's what I mean. It's the anatomy, and the mind is the energetic electrical part. And how cool are we, by the way? Like mind, bodies, and souls. It's just the most amazing experience ever. Well, we can choose to make it amazing, but mine hasn't been an amazing experience lately. So hence why I'm on here reminding all of us that we actually have a choice to experience life in such a beautiful, high-vibing way. So our mind, back in those days, our lower mind, functioned purely to keep us safe. So your mind is only doing what it's functioning, what it's built to do. But it's like trying to mop a dirty floor with a hammer. You know what I mean? Like if we let our mind go into the driver's seat and the master seat, like the throne of our life, like it's that analogy of like expecting to clean a dirty floor with a hammer and then wondering why we keep fucking it up. So this is not a time to reject your mind. It's a time to understand your mind. And your mind is just always trying to keep you safe. And back in the day, trying to keep you safe was like your mind seeing everything like, okay, there's a saber-toothed tiger 20 meters away from you. It's telling you to run. So it releases electrical charges, which get your hormones going, release cortisol to get your body to run. So your mind is actually just doing its job. We've just given it the wrong position, basically. And yeah, back in the day when we were, creating fires and living off the land, living in small communities, and those woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers running around, it did its job really well. Like it really did its job really well. But over time, we have evolved into these beautiful conscious beings. But a large majority of the world is walking around completely wasting their consciousness and living from this lower mind because we don't have this awareness that like, oh, okay, like I need to shift some like positions around in my garden that is my inner oasis, and this guy needs to get demoted and this part of me needs to get promoted. Basically. So I'm just like lathering on the analogies today, guys, but I hope they're all landing because I'm like switching between an analogy like every sentence, but it's landing for me. So welcome to the ride. Welcome along for the journey. So yeah, hopefully by understanding now that your mind is simply a tool, it doesn't have the ability to discern the complexity of life and the abstractness, don't know if that's a word, the obscurity of our conscious experience. Because congratulations, as a human race, we have evolved, and our mind has evolved as well. So it's only doing its job, and to this day, it does not have the part of your mind that is bullying you and that you've put into the master seat does not have the ability to see the full color of spectrum that is our conscious experience now. It simply only sees black or white, because back in the day, it was like, there's a saber-toothed tiger, run or die, black or white. And most of us walk around now with this incredible evolved level of consciousness that we're not even tapping into because we're still letting our mind take the driver's seat. So that is how I got to where I was today, just complete rock bottom. And I had created a fortress around my mind, or around my experience with life. And all my friends are like, it's amazing, you're amazing, it's all good, blah, blah, blah. So grateful. And I definitely like little drips fed in, and there was moments where I felt safe in my body again and I could regulate. But it wasn't until I could experience this aha moment of how I'd gotten to where I was that now I can look back on everything, all of the space that everyone has held for me lately and be like, oh my God, they're actually speaking the truth. But when you get to a point of like low self-worth because you've been letting your mind bully you, you will create such a huge fortress around your aura, your experience, your relationship with self, that if someone's like, you're beautiful, you're like, ha, lie. So just take some time to acknowledge that in yourself. If you have people around you trying to affirm the truth and you aren't accepting that, it's because you're dealing with low self-worth. And that low self-worth has come along because you have mismanaged your mindset. And I'm not saying that like, you're the problem. Like I am saying that, but like from a super compassionate place where you can be like, it's an empowering place of like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm creating like the security system around myself that isn't allowing me to vibrate at higher levels. So this is a compassionate place, guys. And then again, like I said, you've realized that you're out in the desert with your little inner child self, and you've got to grab a hand and be like, hey, babe, we're actually going to go back to this like way more safe, nurturing, comfortable, elevated, inspiring place, which is our inner oasis. So how do we make our way back to our inner oasis? Is by shifting our mindset. And like I said, like when I first started learning about meditation, I was so confused by it. And I thought that it meant like, I thought that I failed at meditation because I continued to think. But that is not the point of meditation. The point of meditation is to strengthen your relationship with the observer of your mind. So you can sit in a 10-minute meditation or longer. I'm just, for a starting point, you can maybe do shorter meditations, but you can sit in that meditation for 10 minutes and have 50 billion thoughts, but it's the process of coming back to the now and back to the realization that like, oh, this is just a thought. It's just like a cloud floating through the sky. And rather than thinking you are the cloud, and I'm assuming by this point, like a gnarly thunderstorm cloud, like it's not like a nice fluffy one. Like if you were in a space where you're really beating yourself up, it's like a gnarly thunderstorm cloud. You just need to, every moment with meditation, come back to realize that you are the observer of that storm. And slowly after time, the storm will hit and it will land, but you will be safe and you will realize, and then it'll turn back to fluffy little clouds. So you're like, why are you mentioning this? Well, one, meditation will be a really amazing way to start pulling yourself out of this self-loathing, repetitive inner prison that you've put yourself in. And basically, if you're at this point, like I said, watching the horror movie, you have mismanaged your mind, and we need to slowly, softly soothe it back to as a regulated state as you can. And like I said, don't be confused like I was at the start of my spiritual journey, thinking like, oh, that just means I'm going to like cease thinking thoughts. And that I can achieve states like that now for sure. And it doesn't just have to be through meditation. It can be through arts and crafts. It can be through, hobbies, surfing, skating, at nature, being in nature. But that's not the point. Like, that's not the solution to what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to start managing our thoughts as much as we can. And while we're still on the topic of meditation, I find if you still feel like your inner world, it has that pressure valve and you need to release it and you want to start meditating, I would probably recommend starting with a guided meditation, because you're just going to, like, the thought of sitting with your thoughts is probably like going into the worst horror movie ever right now. So that's okay, guys. Accept that. And thankfully, we live in a world where there are multiple options for meditation and dropping into that space. So just a little, side note and a tool to take from this podcast episode is maybe start with a guided meditation first, because that'll really help you soften, because we need to come back to a space of feeling safe in our body and safe in our mind and our inner experience. And if we're sitting like clenching the cinema seat watching this horror movie, of course we're not going to be like, you know what, I'm going to elect to sit through this for 3 hours. Like if you try and sit in a silent meditation when you're still in that state, like of course you're going to not be able to do that. I wanted to say fail, but fail is a bit of a trigger word for me because we never fail. So yeah, just a little side note, maybe try a meditation. If you're sitting here listening to this podcast like, oh my God, Zoe, you're like acknowledging me to a T right now, start with a guided meditation. And other ways that we can start, regulating our mindset again is affirmations. and a super, super simple one. So basically you've let your mind go unattended, unregulated for a really long time. And you might find that like you're in the kitchen, you're trying to cook something and you're like, oh, and then you like to do like 50 different tasks. Like you can feel how dysregulated you are just by like how painful your experience with life is. And you probably have dysregulated breathing. You're feeling really tight in your chest. And like I said, I'm actually navigating some burnout, and I have burnt out a million times in my life. And I always just, it's always a learning curve. It's always like, okay, cool. That's where my capacity is. And I added, 2 more bricks on top of that, and I shouldn't. And now I need to come back. But if you're kind of having a really hostile inner experience, you're probably burnt out as well. So affirmations will help you come back to create little gaps in this dysregulation. So you're sitting there like, oh, I've got to go catch up with a friend. Did I reply to that email? Oh, wait, do I have groceries? Or do I have potatoes for dinner tonight? Like blah, 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 blah. It is exhausting. So these affirmations will help you just create little gaps in the dysregulation and the hostile environment that you've created in your inner world. There can be something as simple as, I am loved. I am safe. I am supported. I am worthy. Or there can be something more complex. So that's up to you. I'm giving you that discernment to decide what do you need to hear right now? What do you wish you needed to hear? Or is it things that your friends or family or loved ones have been saying to you that you haven't been accepting? Maybe take that inspiration from your outer world if you've been lucky enough to receive it. And I hope so. I really do hope that you have those connections and community around you and they've been supporting you and have been a bit of a cheerleader on the side. What have they been saying to you that you haven't been accepting that you might need to start, regurgitating into an affirmation? So you can do things like, create like we've got technology now, rather than it being a hindrance, turn it into a tool. So create like a personalized background on your phone that says, I am loved, or I remember who I am, or I am safe, or whatever. Maybe set reminders on your phone to go off 3 times a day that say, I am loved, or breathe. Because we've gotten our mind to this point, there is no doubt that your body is dysregulated. And I suppose this is a good opportunity. So I've said meditation and I've said affirmations. And sorry, actually 50 million points are going on in my head. Like I said, I've only just come to this aha. So I am still a little bit dysregulated. It's okay. I wanted to mention that we've spoken about meditations and we've spoken about affirmations, and affirmations are super, super powerful, guys. Not only will they help you feel better, but they will actually start shifting your subconscious beliefs. And your subconscious beliefs are literally just thoughts that you have thought repetitively over a certain amount of time, and they keep pressing and pressing and pressing from so in your conscious mind you're thinking, and oh shit, I'm a failure. Oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I failed again. And you say that enough times in your conscious mind, like I said, with your untrained thoughts and your unmonitored thoughts, it slowly impresses onto your subconscious mind. And the whole thing with mindset development is realizing that about, I think it's like 95 to 97% of your actions, your emotions, your thoughts and everything are dictated by your subconscious beliefs. And it's such a simple process, but it's like so misunderstood as well. And it's actually a bit of a dry process, to be honest with you. It's like, how do I shift my mindset? It's like you simply have to be intentional with your thoughts and keep pressing them onto your subconscious mind until your subconscious mind accepts it, and then you'll start leveling up. So if you just start saying, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy. At the start, you're like, oh my God, it sounds like I'm speaking another language, because your subconscious mind is like, no, we've already decided that I'm unworthy. So you're saying I am worthy. Like that's a foreign language to me. And you might feel so uncomfortable, feel really disconnected with that affirmation, but slowly over time, your subconscious mind will accept it. So that's what I mean by it's a dry process. Everyone's like, what's the secret to happiness? And it's like, just intention and repetition, basically, and happiness in the sense of a mindset. So guys, basically our mindset is just a huge tool that is completely misunderstood. And I just wanted to mention with the subconscious beliefs, our subconscious is actually wide open from the ages of 1 to 7. So any experiences or repeated thoughts or, traumatic experiences or not so traumatic experiences you had with your open, vulnerable subconscious mind from 0 to 7, 0 to 7, has now imprinted in your if you haven't done any mindset work before, it is now imprinted in your subconscious belief system. And you have been walking around like just say your mum accidentally forgot to pick you up from school afternoon, and it's like a super, mellow thing that happened, like, oh, well, sorry, or I was like, mum was 10 minutes late to pick me up from the bus or something like that. That might seem like such an innocent experience when you're that age, but if you don't have conscious parenting or a safe environment around you, and this isn't to go start blaming people around you, I'm just explaining how you've gotten to where you are so that you can be more compassionate for who you are and your experience with life. So mum was 10 minutes late to pick you up from the bus stop. It stressed you out a little bit. You probably didn't have, a conscious parenting experience or a safe environment for your mum or your sister or whoever it was to be like, it's okay. Like you know that you were safe, and these things happen sometimes. And, I couldn't help that there was traffic, but just so you know, like, you're safe and I love you and it's all good. And I'll do everything I can to avoid being late to pick you up from the bus again. And sometimes you might not have been able to have that conversation because life's going too fast, or, we weren't really aware of how strong the subconscious mind was, even in the past few decades. Like, the research has grown so phenomenally, substantially since then. So even that, like, really mellow, not super traumatic experience, if that has gone into your subconscious mind before the age of 7, it has probably developed this story that, like, people abandon me, I'm alone, no one can save me. And you are conscious, like, every thought, emotion, and action that you take is a reflection of that subconscious belief. So this is crazy, guys. So I'm mentioning the affirmations and their importance because now I've explained, like, in a very quick way, what our subconscious mind is and what the importance of our mindset. It's like, whoa, okay. So, and it's not like, oh, I'm so disempowered, all this shit happened to me when I was, between 0 and 7 and now I'm fucked up. No, you're not. You just need to move from a victimhood consciousness to a place of mastery and empowerment, and realize every single thought that you have is an illusion. Like I said, guys, it's your mind is the sky and it's just a cloud that comes through. It is an illusion. So why not jump into the self-mastery seat of your life and the empowered seat and be like, oh, okay, so if it's just a matter of intentionally choosing my thoughts and repeating them a certain amount of time to impress on my subconscious mind, then eventually my subconscious mind will accept that, and then my thoughts, behaviors, opportunities, habits, emotions will all start reflecting that higher vibrational belief. Oh, okay, so I am the conscious creator of my life, and how do I start that? Affirmations, baby. Oh, no, it's a whole bunch of nuances to get yourself there. But if you're looking at the mindset piece and how to get out of this scarce, toxic inner environment and come back to that oasis, it's affirmations. And or that could be, there's so many ways to do it, guys. Write them out every day. Put little sticky notes on your mirror, record them on your phone and play them back. Like, your environment is your osmosis. You know what I mean? Like, everything that's coming in and out. So if you're sitting there watching the news and watching stressful TV shows and on social media comparing yourself and just letting all of this shit filter into your awareness, like, of course you're not going to be having a very good inner experience. So you get to choose what comes in and out of your inner experience, and one of those nuances is your affirmations. And I've explained the importance and value of them through that really quick, T's and C's of what your mindset is. So our subconscious beliefs are super important. If you're having a negative experience with life, you 100% have some subconscious beliefs that you need to work on. Great part is that it's a really easy and dry process to do that, and that is identifying, like, oh, okay, so I'm feeling unworthy. So what do I want to feel? Oh, I want to feel really worthy, or I want to feel really safe, or I want to feel really inspired. Then that is your compass. That is the compass that you need to keep focusing on. So it's great, guys. This is like an empowering thing. This is empowering wisdom to realize. And it's the energetics of life and our universal experience and our human conscious experience. So yay for subconscious beliefs. And I just want to mention that, like, the reason there needs to be repetition is because you have probably been walking around for this entire lifetime, and I believe potentially lifetimes beforehand as well. If you've got like past life trauma or ancestral stuff or familial stuff you need to work through, then think about how much of that has like built up, and then you can't walk around for a day and be like, I am love, I am love, I am love, and expect things to change. So another analogy, if I may, is if you see all of that compounded information and negative self-worth beliefs and whatever it is, whatever the subconscious things that you need to shift, if you see that as an elephant, a huge elephant walking in the Sahara in one direction, and your intentions are a little ant walking on the back of the elephant. So the elephant is walking in one direction, but these new subconscious like intentions and thoughts that you're trying to impress on your subconscious mind is an ant walking on the back of that elephant, but from top to tail. So it's walking in the opposite direction. So all of your subconscious beliefs are still walking you in the direction that the elephant is going in the Sahara, and your new beliefs just for the beginning are the ant walking in the opposite direction. So if you remember that analogy when you like say do these affirmations, it depends how strong and deeply rooted all of these subconscious beliefs are, guys. Like some of them might take like a few weeks to shift. Some of them you might be on top of your relationship with a particular subconscious belief for your entire life. And you need to not see that as a burden. You need to see that as an empowering masterful move. Just making up my own words today. Love that. So if you can keep coming back to that analogy, if you get like say 2 weeks into a subconscious belief and you're like, why isn't anything shifting? It's because that belief is still that tiny little ant on the top of your big elephant of a subconscious mind. And I promise you, if you keep consciously turning that compass in the different direction, then the elephant will turn in the Sahara, and the elephant and the ant will start turning in the right direction. And that's hopefully, usually if you're consciously doing this, in the direction towards a nourishing, high vibing belief like I am loved, I am worthy, whatever it is. So just be mindful of that. And that's explaining the need for repetition with mindset development work. So yeah, just thinking about if there's anything else involved. Oh yeah, I just want to mention that like if you have been having a really horrible experience with your inner world and realizing that your thoughts are bullying you, I just want to remind you that there are so many nuances that are involved with the construction of your thoughts. And like I just mentioned, your subconscious beliefs. As I mentioned, it's called conditioning. So as I mentioned, from 0 to 7, when our subconscious mind is open and open to all of these influences, and some of them might not have been good ones or great ones or high vibing ones, that creates your conditioning. So it is now your responsibility. So when you move from victimhood mentality into the master of your life and being empowered, you realized, okay, I've got all of this toxic conditioning that is not serving me anymore. So now I need to decondition. And that is that's the deconditioning process, is being aware of the influences around you. Like I said, your current osmosis now, or maybe the way your teacher spoke to you in grade 2, or continued negative feedback from a shitty manager or whatever it is. That's acknowledging those influences from the outside world from an empowered conscious place is conditioning, is deconditioning, is acknowledging that and then coming back to the affirmations or the things that we need to shift. And this is, the conscious development journey. It's healing. It's everything, guys. It's the key to your relationship with life. And yeah, it's just up to you which door you want to choose. I actually want to go back and count how many freaking analogies I've used in this episode, but that's okay. So I just want to remind you that there are so many nuances involved with how your thoughts come to be. And as I mentioned, there's the subconscious beliefs, your deconditioning process. And then there's also things like, as a female, hormones. Like we are gorgeous, strong, tapped in, emotional, cyclical beings. So I'm in my luteal phase at the moment. So that's the week before you get your period or your bleed as a woman. And it is notoriously a hard time mentally. And I'm aware of that. And I'm glad, I'm grateful for the seasons of my womanhood, because it shows me the shit that I'm holding on to. Basically, you feel like, oh, guys, it is tough. It is really, really tough, but it's also an incredible consciousness tool. So I'm in my luteal phase right now. So that's when all of our hormones that usually keep us happy and energetic and vibing, they're starting to taper off in our brain. So those neurotransmitters, those hormones in our bodies, they're tapering off as a way to insist that our bodies slow down, and so we can rest and digest the month of emotions before us, which is the physical release through our bleed. So I should do like individual episodes on conditioning and on, our cycle as women and stuff like that. So as a woman, our hormones play a role in our thoughts. So just be mindful of that. And this is I'm mentioning all these things that you're like, why am I going crazy? It's okay. There's nuances involved in how your thoughts come to fruition, but that's not to say from a disempowered place, but I'm just saying there's influences. So there's definitely times where like you can really be like working hard on your subconscious beliefs, like, say when you're ovulating, when everything's really high. There's also the cosmos, and I am not super dialed in with everything, but I just know from my spiritual community around me, this has been a gnarly year with the cosmos. We've had retrogrades and new moons, and freaking every star sign or constellation out there is doing like 27 backflips, and we would be so ignorant to believe that that wouldn't have any effect on us. It's like the moon affects the moon affects the tides, which is the ocean, which is water, and our body is made up of 70% of water. So you would be so ignorant to think that a full moon or anything in the constellation wouldn't be affecting us, because it affects everything else on Earth. Why wouldn't it be affecting us? So another thing to keep in mind. Also, like I said, I've already mentioned osmosis, and that includes, that doesn't include, but I'm going to mention now, segue into, it's also your diet or substances that you're consuming that are, alcohol or marijuana, things like that. They are depressants, guys. So they will be, bringing the ability to have a high vibing conscious thoughts down a rung. So be mindful of what you're putting into your mind, body, and soul. And then it's also about getting your body into a regulated state. So helping your body to feel safe. So it's kind of like you have to be simultaneously working on these things, because I remember when I first started working in mindset development, it's very cut and dry of like your thoughts are everything, which is true, but there is like, as you start shifting your thoughts, it's going to start dredging up repressed emotions and unhealed trauma and things like that. And you might be sitting here like, well, why the fuck do I want to do that? But I promise you guys, it's worth it. You've got to get to the other side and just keep leveling up. So I just remember how painful it was for me getting into this mindset development work first and thinking that our thoughts were the be all end all, but it's not like that. We are holistic beings. So there's a physical component, which is like, I said, diet and exercise and moving your body to shift this built up energy. And, you might go for a run and then cry, and you don't need to know why you're crying. It just means that you're moving these built up repressed emotions through your body, because you're starting to shift things in that mindset way. And what else is there? Yeah. And then there's your emotional space. So there's healing that you need to do. Like, is there relationships that you need to mend, or is there, again, repressed emotions that you need to let go of? So yeah, there's a whole bunch of nuances here, but I just wanted to jump on today and remind you guys that your thoughts are an illusion, guy. Your thoughts are illusions. They are not real. But we need to get into the driver's seat and start choosing which magical fairy tale story we want to tell, because our mind is going to be operating either way, as the little child, either in the driver's seat, in the car of your life, fucking like driving off a cliff and just like making your life so chaotic. Or we can pop it in the driver's seat. Oh, sorry, not the driver's seat. In the passenger seat of the car, and give it like a little fake wheel. Like, there's little like kids wheels when you like, the button's like a little like boop, 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 and you're like driving around. Pop it in the passenger seat and don't give it the master seat of your life, and drive around and start driving around and letting your higher self in the driver's seat and see how it goes. So it's time to start consciously choosing the magical story that you want to tell to feed your mind. It is a servant, and it just wants to consume as much as it can. So you are the conscious creator of your life, guys. So what story do you want to start telling it? Stop waiting and start feeding your mind the information that it needs, rather than letting it be the master in the driver's seat of your life, driving off the road, veering like crazy, flipping the car, and you're just in the passenger seat like, ah! So time to have a little look at, your inner oasis. Oh, I just bumped my mic, so hopefully that didn't give some annoying feedback, but it's time to start leaning into the resistance, leaning into the discomfort, having a look at who you've hired and what positions you've given them. Demote your mind, promote your higher self, let those repressed emotions go, and jump in the ocean, get into nature, move your body. Like, it's up to you to be intuitive with the things that are going to support you to walk back from that toxic, barren wasteland of an inner experience that you've created back to that inner oasis and find that gorgeous ecosystem again. So I'm going to leave you to it, guys. Let all of that land. And yeah, I'm so proud of you. I'm so, so proud of you. I feel like everyone needs to hear that every day. And I need to hear that too. So I am so proud of you for receiving this information and this wisdom. And I hope that it provides the magic that you need to start walking back to that inner oasis and never leaving it again. All right, guys, until the next episode, I'm sending you so much love. Mwah.